everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sonic Talk. This is number 311, recording live today, Wednesday, the 1st of May. I suppose if it was the 4th, I could say May the 4th be with you, but it's not. It's the 1st, so I can't say that. But I just said it anyway. I'm Nick Batt, editor of SonicState.com, and this week's show, we're very kindly brought to you by our sponsors, iZotope. If you want to go get a download of RX, which is their excellent sound restoring and fix-it program, iZotope.com/RX for a 10-day free demo. More on that later. So we're here. We have a slightly different layout. After last week's mega episode where we had 6 participants, which was great fun, but kind of slightly chaotic at the same time, we're now down to a small, intimate gathering of just the 4 of us. And we'll start off, because we will be seeing Gaz as we haven't seen him for a little while, because last week, obviously, Gaz was dressed like a clown, almost, thanks to his hijinks playmates in the Carl Hyde band. He's now installed at home with what looks like some kind of better internet connection.
Yes, as of today, actually, a new internet connection. So hopefully those kind of grainy 8-bit days are behind me now.
Excellent. So we'll be able to, we can see you in full effect. The moire patterning on your shirt is coming across beautifully.
Function 1. I was mentioning just before the show, we've been using the Function 1 speakers with Carl Hyde. We've been using them as our stage sort of monitoring. And these are like maybe some of the best live speakers you can get, Function 1. And actually this pattern on the T-shirt is actually based on the tweeted design for the Function 1s, which is quite an unusual sort of shape. But the Function 1s are just really amazing to use, and sort of having used them for a few months now, it's they're just incredible. For me, the experience is almost like using studio monitors in a live setting, so it's really quite incredible.
I think I might have found let me see if I just found they look like that.
Yeah.
Well, the top ones I'm assuming is what you use, rather than those enormous W bends.
They do all sorts of strange installations, and but we've been going out with we've been using them as side fills, and with
that rocks.
It's amazing, and it's kind of what Underworld use. So
it's like taking your monitor speakers out on the road with you on a sort of, but on a much higher level. So yes, of course, Gaz has been playing with Carl Hyde, which is going down to great critical acclaim, been getting some great reports. Have you done any gigs since that last one, or have you on a bit of a quiet bit?
We had another gig after last week.
Oh yes, of course. How did that go?
That was terrific. That was in a place called the Union Chapel in Islington, which is just a gorgeous kind of church. It's a really unusual building, actually. It's like a church. It's actually still a functioning church. So it kind of poses certain acoustic issues, as churches do. And what's quite interesting with the Carl Hyde set is that maybe half of it is very spacious, very ambient, and lends itself beautifully to that kind of environment. There's some of the more beatier kind of bigger tunes which maybe get a little bit washy in those places, but I think some of that, the more kind of ambient side of stuff, was just beautiful in that situation. And I do believe that Dave Spears was there, so
maybe we can do an
audience perspective.
How about this for? Oh no, that's not Dave, that's Mark. I got my button switched the wrong way.
Almost seamless.
We've also got almost seamless, almost professional. Dave Spears there, of course, g4software.com. You may remember him last week as the analog edition, which just having analog in the title seemed to boost the views enormously. And your .com backdrop is there in full effect. Beautiful.
Yes, I've had quite a lot of emails about my vid, which is nice. But yes, nothing like that gig. I mean, that gig was obviously quite special for me on a number of levels, but it sounded beautiful. It really did sound beautiful. In fact, it's been voted the best live venue in London by Time Out for a couple of years, isn't it? And I can kind of see why. It was brilliant, because out the back, while Gaz was on stage, I had a bit of a kind of momentary lapse of non-smoking and went out the side bit under that really nice gazebo for a ciggy. And I was sort of having a fag with this guy who was one of the kind of pastors there. And it was just really good fun chatting to him. And he was like, oh, you know, one of the reasons I love this venue and why I'm really behind it as a musical venue is because when I was in the 60s, you know, I went to see Pink Floyd at I think it was Earl's Court, and I couldn't bloody see anything. Whereas in this, you could see everything. And then this mad raver came out, who was, get this, a heavy metal raver at this kind of really lush, lovely ambient gig, and started ranting about how brilliant it was, primarily because of the music, but also because there was no health and safety people wandering around, and he could rave to his heart's content up in the upper eaves. And in fact, I saw him with his t-shirt on, kind of going crazy over when they turned into a covers band. But yeah, no, brilliant, really brilliant, and the reviews are very well deserved.
Excellent.
Although I have to say, every time when I speak to Carl, every time Gaz goes past, Carl just kind of goes, he's mad. He's mad.
So what are they using front of house out of interest? Is it all digital or is it analog?
No, it's all analog, actually. We're using their Midas analog desks. I should mention as well that John Newsham, who's one of the founders of Function One, is coming out and doing our front of house mixing, which is great because I mean he's got such a great history. I mean, he started with Gong and Hillage in the 70s, and then he kind of mixed.
And his ears still work.
Pink Floyd, the Wall era of Pink Floyd, and worked with Iron Maiden and lots of people. So having him, it's just been amazing, really. So,
Nick, you would have met him when we went to that Speed of Sound gig. John was the guy doing the 360 installation up there that I recorded.
Was that the Ambisonics?
I can't. Oh yes, I know. I don't think I did meet him in the end, but yeah, I was. I think you went over, and anyway. Yes, I think I do vaguely remember. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on. Mark Tinley, of course, here at likebeing.com. Thank you very much for joining us, Mark, and waiting patiently there. You've got your sound working, and everything's all groovy. Mark, of course, sound artist and member of tvmaniamusic.com. Currently throbbing up the charts, or some chart somewhere.
I like the idea of throbbing up the charts.
Has a sort of ring to it. Anyway, glad to have you aboard. Are you well?
I'm very well. My foot is still throbbing, of course, but
yes, of
apart from that, I'm very well. Yeah.
Mark is post-op.
Hobble. I missed a hobble at the moment.
Excellent. Right, I'm going to go jump straight in and start the show. Let me see what was first. Oh, this was fab. I think I've got a bit of video here. If I press this, it might work. This is a sort of...
of the seas. Let's try and get that without
massive. Look at the size of this thing. It's absolutely huge. Yeah. Let's see if I can fast forward it. There's loads of this stuff. Basically, this huge cruise ship. Absolutely massive, which I didn't realise was so big. I don't know if you've ever been on a ferry recently, but I thought they were big. But this is, let me see if I can get to it. There's just this fantastic shot, if I can find it quickly, of, in the Caribbean. And you kind of get to see the scale. It's just massive. I won't bore you with any more. That was like a photo opportunity, a photo montage video diary of somebody who was doing one of these Rock Legends cruises, which is something that Dave posted. There was an article on the BBC, which is somebody who'd gone along on one of these, and they go out of Florida, and there's like a 5 or 6 day cruise, or up to 5 day cruise, and they just wheel on a load of artists like REO Speedwagon and Foreigner, Paul Rogers, Creedence Clear, and they just have a gig and they play every night and they hang out with everybody, and it just seems like and you Dave actually said sounds like a brilliant idea for a soap opera, which I absolutely would be brilliant. I mean, not reality TV, but what was that? There was a UK version of this, wasn't there? What was it? It was on a boat. Can't remember what it was called.
What? Triangle.
Triangle.
No. Well, really? God.
I don't know. It might have been called that.
On a boat, on a ferry. It's always budget when we do it in the UK, isn't it?
But what a great cruising with dinosaurs, says McCreature in the chat room. That's great.
Oh man, we had so much fun talking about this. I've got very mixed feelings about it, but actually I put it on my Facebook, and it was I'm just trying to find a couple of the comments because people were coming on. We were saying that you can have themed cruises like in all different genres of music, couldn't you? You can have kind of what's this one called? Cruise to the Edge with the prog rockers.
Yeah, there's Rock Legends 2 cruise, which I think was what we saw. That was the sort of the tail end in there. And there's also what's this one called? The Artists. Cruise to the Edge. There we go. That's Steve Hackett, various Carl Parr, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I quite like to see Saga there. That's brilliant because if you know anyone who's over 50, they start to get free copies of Saga magazine, which is for over 50, and it's full of cruises. So being the band Saga playing on a cruise just seems somehow fantastically funny in a way.
Well, the best one that was a bunch of a load of goths bands, and you could call it Finding Emo.
That's genius.
Which just had me in stitches. And there's loads. You could have like loads of old punk bands and call it Punks of the Caribbean, but nothing beats Finding Emo.
Finding Emo's pretty good.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I really do have mixed feelings about it because
I think it's a fantastic idea. I just think I've never been on a cruise. I'm probably getting towards the age where I might start considering thinking about a cruise in a few years, and having a cruise that was themed, like 80s electro pop, for instance, or I just think it'd be hilarious and actually probably quite a good gig, unless the seas are really rough. I mean, I don't know what it's like in the Caribbean. I guess it can be pretty bad.
I think the thing with the whole prog thing was that, don't forget, I mean, Chris and I worked for these people years ago, and your job, apart from all the technical side of stuff, was to kind of keep mere mortals a million miles away from these kind of iconic figures. In fact, so much so that when people really did desperately want to meet some of them, we'd say no. And they'd say, but why not? Why are you being so awful? And we'd be like, well, have you ever met your heroes? Because the chances are you are going to be quite disappointed. And yet now they're like going to breakfast with them and taking photographs of them queuing up. It's just really surreal. There were so many brilliant quotes on this about, Carl Palmer. Was it Carl Palmer's sidekick was confused, thought the large dinner plates were trays. It's just like, you can take these slightly kind of, I mean, I'm being slightly harsh now, but you can take these borderline socially dysfunctional people and just put them in. I mean, you might as well put them behind glass in a zoo or something to a certain degree. It's very, very strange. And boy, what a change from the old days. Now, like Steve said on that, on the BBC site, I accept that I'm public property on occasions like this. And I worked for him years and years ago, and I could understand that would be a very difficult thing to deal with for any length of time for some people. It's just really strange. Really, really strange.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
But I like the idea of things like the boat rocking around and stuff like that, being caught in a force-8 gale, is that a Carl Palmer drum solo? Or is that just all the cutlery falling down the stairs? It's got all the makings of a great sitcom.
It does. I don't know, Gaz, can you see yourself, maybe, in 30 years? I mean, because I've never done, I've been on ferries and stuff, and you get the kind of, is this awful sort of tired band with an arranger keyboard and a singer with too much echo, just kind of bashing out the hits. I mean, this isn't all that different, except obviously everybody pays a lot more, and it becomes like this event. I just think it's a fantastic idea.
Well, funnily enough, Angie Pollock, I've been playing with in the Carl Hyde band, and who Nick originally put me in contact with. She's a bit of a legend, isn't she, Angie? She played with Peter Gabriel and Goldfrapp for many years, and lots of people. A few years back, she was on one of these kind of cruises, but it was like a songwriting cruise, and it was going across the Atlantic. And I think it was kind of coming up sort of Newfoundland area, and they got caught in a gale force 11 storm.
Jesus.
And it was really nearly all over. The boat nearly went over. Lots of people got seriously injured, and
Jesus.
It was, water, it was a very, very, I think they were very, very close to capsizing. And,
wow. Something to write a song about, though, eh? I bet they got loads of songs out of that song.
That's right. So that's what they had to do afterwards. Then they had like that as a songwriting, as kind of subject material. And so I thought, fantastic, near-death experience.
In fact, somebody said on my post, imagine if the cruise to the edge went down in the storm.
I hear a pun coming.
All the proggers would just all the prog fans would just be mourning forever, wouldn't they? It'd be like, Buddy Holly's playing on kind of multiple fold.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, it would be. I mean, that's a bleak thought, but I suppose you could fit a lot of them on one go. You could do a lot of them in one go. Mark Tinley, what are your thoughts about cruising?
This is all
On
very
ships.
restaurant at
On
the end of
ships.
the universe, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
It's all like, let's go and smash a spaceship into the sun and all that. What my thoughts about cruising? Okay, I'm going to make an admission. In 1989, I went to see a clairvoyant. I was obsessed with clairvoyance, and I used to like really get into this whole kind of clairvoyant thing. And I was meant to see this clairvoyant at 8:30 in the morning, so I took a pill of ecstasy at 7:30 in the morning, and then I drove to her house. And I arrived on her doorstep, and I had a shaved head, and she came to the door. My pupils were like saucers, and she opened the door, and she went, "Oh, well, you'd better come in." And I don't know what she was expecting, and I was expecting.
She should have been expecting exactly that, surely.
I was expecting to see the spirits floating around, the living room and everything. But she said to me, "You may be lucky enough to find yourself playing on a cruise ship." And I looked at her and I thought, what the hell are you talking about? Why would that even be good? It never occurred to me that it might be like a viable kind of thing to do. But this, perhaps this turns that all around, and this hasn't happened yet. So
well, do you think maybe that's the next phase of the TV Mania project will be the
Yes.
TV Mania cruise? We could see you right here. This could be one of these photos. Could be that 3-shot. Could be you, Nick, and Warren.
Excellent. And Anthony, of course.
And
So
Anthony. Well, a 4-shot then. Yeah.
Shot, yes. But I don't know. I just it seemed. I mean, in 1989, the idea of playing on a cruise ship just seemed totally rubbish.
It is funny, isn't it? It's a very.
Insult me, I'm going to be really famous. How dare you say I'm going to play on a cruise ship? But now the whole thing's turned on its head, because those people are very, very famous, very, like, absolutely sort of ingrained in the consciousness of a lot of people, and they're on cruise ships, and there's something kind of cool about that, isn't there? It's like, a whole new paradigm in touring, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these were. I think that there's one actually out on the road at the moment. Monday. Oh no, this one was in January. There are more on the that are going to be coming. They vary from sort of 800 quid starting price up to sort of a couple of grand, depending on what sort of cabin you get. Whether you're in the bottom of the ship or on one of the outer ones with a balcony and what have you. But I'm trying to figure out a way how I can get onto one of them without actually having to pay anything. Just like be crew or carry something for somebody. I don't know. I really like the idea of it. And in the tech world, they do these things quite regularly. So they do like photography ones, and they do. There's Leo Laporte on the Twit network. He goes on one every year, which is like a Mac centric kind of thing, where they all go, so you get lots of sort of quite big names in the tech world. They go and do a cruise, and lots of people else come along. It's a 10-day cruise. It's also somewhere interesting. You get to hang out with a lot of people that are related, so it's almost like a conference but on a boat, which kind of makes sense really, because you can't get away and you're there to communicate and learn and network. And I suppose that would be awesome. I just like the idea of it. I mean, I haven't got the wherewithal to organise anything like that, but
I just noticed something. I saw that Yes were playing on that cruise ship, and that their singer has changed again because they ingloriously kind of booted John Anderson, the original singer, out because he got ill with acute respiratory failure, and they pulled in a singer from a Yes tribute band.
Is that him on the right?
They got him off of YouTube, didn't they?
No, they got him off YouTube. Yeah, they sort of saw him singing in a Yes tribute band on YouTube. Now,
Wow.
I just noticed, I thought, oh, that's not that guy. I wondered what had happened to that guy, Benoit David. And I just looked at Benoit David, and Benoit David became ill and had to leave Yes with acute respiratory failure.
Whoa, what's going on here?
That's really weird. Oh my
You
God.
talk to Chris about that, I'll tell you.
Really? I just thought
No.
maybe it's trying to sing those songs.
Either singing the songs or somebody's using the wrong kind of talcum powder.
Yeah. Or somebody's putting something in their tea.
Oh, wow, that's a scary thought. I think we should probably put all sorts of disclaimers on those statements before.
Yeah.
Yes,
They're
yes,
all
no.
opinions. They're all just opinions, right?
Of course, yeah. Thank you, Mark. You jumped in there. And one opinion I would like to espouse at the moment is it's time's marched on already, and it's time to thank our sponsor. So if you would care to, if you want to spend a moment doing something else, I will press this button and we can say thank you very much to our show sponsor, of course, Isotope, Isotope RX. I'm waiting for the video to start. Here we go. Isotope RX, complete audio restoring suite. This is amazing stuff, basically. I mean, ever since it first came out, it was almost like magic when it first arrived. The things that it can do. Audio repair suite has got remove noise, hiss, buzz, hum, eliminate clicks. Lots of spectral things that you could do, so you can select aspects of a sound. So if someone's coughing or whistling in the background, you can take it out of the way, lasso it. It's absolutely amazing stuff for restoring and fixing audio. You can get rid of digital clipping. You can spectral repair. So if there's actually something missing in the recording, you can have Isotope figure out what it thinks it's going to be from the material either side, and that can work really well as well. And just the fact that it's visual means that it's very, very fast to use. I mean, I know Dave Spears swears by it. In fact, the whole of Iris, which is the synthesizer, is based on this technology. It really is astonishing. It runs a standalone, as a plug-in, all sorts of notch filters. Download a free 10-day demo if you want to try it out yourself. Isotope.com/RX. That's a free 10-day demo. We would thank Isotope for their continued sponsorship of the show. Nice to have them aboard. Right, so the next article, I think, this was the AAX workaround. This was pretty amazing, and I'm just trying to remember which button it's on because I have a horrible feeling it's not going to be this one. Oh, no, there it is. Now, this, we saw it last week. Or it came in the topic list, and this is the way, because basically you can't use audio units or VSTs in Pro Tools. And Russ Hughes has come up with this fantastic way. This is a brilliant video on the ProToolsExpert.com,
he shared it with Cubase, but
which I thoroughly recommend you check out. It's a really, it's Mac only, unfortunately.
For some of you,
I won't play the whole thing, but essentially what it is you're using Soundflower, which is a kind of internal audio routing system, and also the IAC, which is internal MIDI bus, inter-application C. I don't know what the C stands for, but it enables you run main stage, and then you make an aggregate device from your audio interface plus Soundflower, which is a free download from Cycling 74. You then have an aggregate device, and you output main stage into Soundflower, and then you have input from Soundflower into Pro Tools. So it enables you to play instruments and also route MIDI from one application to the other with very, very little latency. And it's I mean, obviously you don't get the advantage of being able to save the whole lot in one big document like you would, but it means that you can do some pretty clever stuff. And this, I know Rich Hilton was really into trying this, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, what with all the chaos. But perhaps this week may be, and one of the big things was obviously, it means that people could run Dave's plugins in Pro Tools without so what you could do is just invest in some really sort of smart training videos, certainly on the Mac side, and just show people how to do it, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But it's a neat trick, isn't it, Dave?
And yes, it went straight on our FAQs. I watched Russ's stuff, and the minute this happened, I just kind of emailed him saying, thank you very much, that's going straight on our FAQs, which it did, because obviously I explained about the whole AAX thing. I was going to say, I wasn't going to say the whole AAX thing, and this makes life considerably easier. So, and I think I might have been a little bit contentious in advocating that people contact Abid about this Sugar Bytes wrapper, which somehow got squashed, or I don't know what happened to that. But...
Well, in the chat room,
so here's the solution.
Yeah, a native VS in the chat room says with Jack you can do it as well on Windows. So if you've got I don't know what sort of client you'd use on the Windows side that would be a kind of standalone player without all the DAW functions, but I mean it's a pretty neat idea. I know, Mark. I'm guessing that this might appeal to your nature. Do you use Soundflower? I mean, I've only ever used it a couple of times.
I do use Soundflower a lot, yeah. And of course, you don't necessarily have to use MainStage to do this, because you could use standalone synths, and you could wire tons of them in if you thought about your IAC routing enough beforehand, and you thought about if you used like the multi-track version of Soundflower, you should be able to wire that.
Yeah, I suppose it just means you've got to save lots and lots of individual separate documents then, and presets and record. I guess if you're using one host,
it turns it almost back into having like a real studio with lots of different things to set up. You'd have to have a patch sheet, wouldn't you, or whatever?
You'd have to get in early to set up before the talent arrives. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a cool thing. The only thing that I thought was a little odd in that video is right at the end he said, "Well, it doesn't use rewire or anything like that." And I thought, well,
it sort of does.
kind of is like Rewire.
I suppose
and
it
it's
is, yeah.
made by a different company, isn't it? So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a solution and it works. So brilliant, excellent.
I wonder if Rewire is a very similar thing. I mean, it's just an internal audio bus, presumably. Are there a limit to the number of Rewire channels you can pipe between things? Because I haven't used it very much because it's always been a bit fiddly in the past. I mean, my computer's been a bit underpowered.
Well, that's the word, isn't it? Fiddly, because you have to load programs in the right order and make sure that one's the host and the other's this and that and blah blah blah. But Soundflower kind of works like a virtual driver and lets you route anything to anything, and you just need to think about your signal path, and it's like having a patch bay, I suppose, and you just kind of wire things around. So
yeah, no, nice idea actually. I'm definitely up for that. Gaz, I mean, this is the idea of actually sort of starting to patch things into patching in software it's always been a bit fiddly, but something like this where it solves a very clear and imminent issue, because obviously the Pro Tools 11 is going to be AAX only. Yeah. It's going to be pretty awesome, isn't it?
Great. Yeah, I mean, and it's similar to what's happened in the iPad world with Audio Bus, and now Jack is available on the iPad as well, although there's only, at this point in time, only a few things that support it. But just picking up on what Mark says there, you know, I think it's just quite nice to be able to fuse things in. I think that is pretty cool because, you know, there's so many interesting bits of software, and it feels crazy when you can't link things together. I mean, yeah, I've used Soundflower now for many years and think it's really, really cool. But it did make me think when you mentioned in Rewire, one thing that wasn't in the show notes is that Reason 7 has just been, it's just come out, hasn't it?
Oh gosh, another one I missed.
No, it's quite a biggie. I thought it might be worth mentioning because there is some quite nifty things that it does for long-term Reason users, for just kind of taking it that step closer to being more like a fully featured DAW, but still retaining that kind of unique Reason thing. You can do kind of group channels and just trying to think now. Maybe Dave might want to pick up on this one. Just it's probably worth mentioning just whilst it's kind of, because I think it's only been out a day or two now.
Right, okay. Well, I guess Dave, you've probably had the opportunity to look at it just purely.
It's MIDI out, isn't it? MIDI out is the biggest thing that everybody's kind of going crazy about for the first time ever. But that's kind of weird, isn't it? Because in the videos they were. They previewed this a while ago. I think we looked at it very briefly then. But it was quite interesting when in the videos, because they were kind of, it was a bit weird because they were kind of showing all these old analog synths kind of going, and now you can connect all this stuff up. And I was thinking, well, half of those haven't got a MIDI port on them anyway.
Well, of course, you do it with Expert Sleepers, which doesn't use a MIDI port either. Anyway, but yes, you can dig out all your old Kenton Pro Solo or Pro Solo 2000, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, very good.
But it's a cool idea. I mean, what I like the idea of, in a way, is the concept of actually getting tweaky and sort of figuring out how to route bits of software together in a way that you just ordinarily just think, oh, no, I don't do it like that. It's all done for me. I would never have to, but to sort of think outside the box and go, actually, this is what you can do. The key being in the aggregate device, that's the way you do it. Because in OXS, you can set OSX rather, you can set up multiple devices and bond them together, and if one of them is a sort of virtual sound card, then the clocking doesn't become an issue, and it's all kind of pretty cool actually. So I really like the idea of coming up with something that's outside the box, because like I say, when you're developing software, you want people have to work very much with it in the constraints of the software. Yeah, they can set extreme settings, but there's not much else they could do outside of it.
Yeah, although, I mean, for me, using aggregate devices has not been a completely painless operation, and I do tend to find that you do get clicks and things going on. Okay. So it's sort of not. I don't know if that's the particular combinations that I've done. I do make a aggregate device with Soundflower and my audio interface.
Does that work all right? Because I mean, I think when you got multiple pieces of hardware, it's not so good.
Yeah, I only use it for when I want to sample off YouTube, so that's when I tend to use it.
Well, what I tend to do then is just go to KeepTube and download the whole thing.
Oh.
And then extract.
KeepTube.
That's one way to do it, but it's not very good quality. I mean, but then it isn't anyway, I suppose.
And when I'm sampling, I am sampling the most random kind of things. That
Isn't there an app for there is an app for iPad that apparently will sample off YouTube. I think somebody told me about it recently in something. Because funnily enough, I've been trying to. My daughter is doing a school project. I won't bore you too much with the problems, but it's actually quite an interesting technological journey. My daughter's doing a school project whereby there's the Horrible Histories, which is a brilliant TV show in the UK run by the BBC. They've got great music in it, and they're doing a World War II project, and there's a bit in Horrible Histories which is called the World War II girls. They're like a girl power, and it's about how the women were. Their status changed from just sort of working in the home to sort of doing jobs on farms and working in factories and munitions and what have you, and they became kind of experts to help the war effort. And there's a brilliant song which I've recorded. I've only managed to find it on YouTube as a really bad download. All the girls that are singing it are really low voices, so I had to pitch it up a tone and a half so they could sing it, which I had to use Melodyne for. But then I also had to remove the vocals on it because they're really, really loud. I had to turn them down, and I used the Roland Armix for just pulling out the vocals, and that was quite neat. So then I've got this sort of pitched up vocal down, but it's all done from a really awful MP3, so it's just gurning like crazy. But then the girls came in and sang over here. I posted something on Facebook of them, and it was brilliant, just to one mic. And I put them all back in, chucked them back on, used the Isotope Alloy, in fact, and Nectar, just threw it on there, and they sound fantastic. It was all, jobs are good, and now I've got to shoot the video. But yes.
If you want to download things from YouTube, I use Firefox, and there's an extension called Download Helper.
Ah, okay.
And that comes up as a little kind of red, blue, and yellow ball at the top of the screen, and you can literally pull off the video at 1080p if it's
available. That Well, I have to use.
And it pulls it off as a flash video or an MP4.
I use that for that sort of thing for running things here, because obviously I can't guarantee that the bandwidth is going to be great when I'm trying to show something on YouTube. So what I tend to do is before the show, I'll grab a video.
Oh, right.
On KeepTube, it's called Keep-Tube. I'll download it locally so I can play it back into the show, which I'm sure is totally illegitimate, but it's the only way I can make sure that it will play back. So I just download it, and I use WebM format because it's quite small. And when it's, so for instance, something like, I don't know what the video is. There's no video there, so that's not going to work. I've just crashed the show by pressing that. Oh, there we go.
Oh, no.
No, there we go. We're back again. So, that's what I do. Say, for instance, perhaps the next topic, for instance, which might be pertinent or maybe not. The Jamstik mini guitar recorder. Should we have a look at that? But actually, so yes, just going back to it, if you want to check that out, go to protools-expert.com. There's also another video by Russ where he shows how to do it with VST plugins as well, because obviously Mainstage doesn't run VSTs, it only runs AUs. But that's a really interesting workaround, and something that I think will work. If you've got a fast enough Mac, I mean, there may be issues with slower ones. It can introduce a little bit of latency for real-time throughput, but essentially a great workaround. Actually, do you want to do the Jamstik one first? Because that was one of yours, Mark, actually, so I might just play that, yeah? Does that make sense?
I love music. I've always loved music. I love playing guitar. I wanted to play guitar so bad as a kid, I started every year from the
It's so salesy, I can't bear it.
I spent a lot of time
technology's brilliant.
Things that didn't sound at all like music. You play a D or a G chord for weeks. It just doesn't sound like anything that you signed up for. So much has changed with how people access and share information and educate themselves. We thought, why not try to apply that to the fingers, curious interest in music, where your fingers are.
Right, so this is basically, what's neat about this is a little piece of hardware. If I just go here, this guy here looks like the boffin behind it and seems reasonable and not salesy.
Critical that you...
And this thing is, what a brilliant idea. It's basically, what's that? 5 frets and 6 strings. And it works on, so it has like a MIDI...
musicality of a guitar is that feeling.
Pause that there. It has a MIDI MIDI out, so you can connect it up to iPads and RTP MIDI sessions and what have you. It just looks like actually a really cool idea, and they've started called Jamstik with a STIK, and it's crowdsourced, and it's going to be about $175. But I actually would really like one because I've got a few guitars here, but the idea of having one of those, you could actually do quite a lot of playing with something like that, I reckon. And then, Mark, it obviously appealed to you. What was it that kind of made you go, "Ooh, I must have that"? Or maybe you didn't.
No, I did. I did go, "Ooh, I must have that," and it appealed to me because it's the sort of thing you could just about put in your trouser pocket.
Cargo pants, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And my first instrument's the guitar, so I learned to play the guitar when I was 15 and spent many years practicing it. And I may not play it brilliantly, but I certainly play it a hell of a lot better than I play a keyboard. So it seems to me that if I can have some, the more kind of devices that I can have that have 6 strings on them and act like guitars, and allow me to input data into things or allow me to play other instruments, the better. That's all.
No, I really like the look of this, actually, because it's going to be a great MIDI guitar as well, by the looks of things. I mean, assuming the latency's not down. In fact, I was just looking. They're running a project on Indiegogo because they're crowdsourcing it. And when I looked at this yesterday, they had 40 grand. Now they've got $107,000.
Wow!
So that's obviously gone a bit viral in just the last 24 hours.
I looked at the what are they called? The perks you can get down the side, and I kind of span down there because I thought, I wonder if they've got a perk where I can just buy it. And there was a perk for $199, but everybody had sold out of those. And then I hummed and hard about. I mean, there's another one on there for $299, so you could buy it for $299 and get a signed.
No, it's $219.
Oh, has it gone down? Is it?
Oh no,
they put a new thing in between then.
No, you get it at $80 discount. So you pay $219 and you can buy it for $80 discount.
Are there any of those left?
Yeah, but that means you had to buy it. You end up buying it for $300. Oh no, the Jamstik MSRP will be $299.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So 5 out of 50, 150 is claimed.
Some perks for people.
So let's have a look. What's the sold out of the first to own? So 100 of those. 251 of the next one up when you get a T-shirt as well.
That wasn't on there yesterday either.
But that's sold out too. Early adopter special. They better make this blooming thing because it's gonna. It's.
I mean, I would put $199 into something, and it's gonna sit sort of in virtual space till December
2013. Wow,
I know.
That's quite.
But then, I mean, when I looked at it, the next option up was $299, and I thought, I can't just leave $299 sitting doing nothing for a year. That's just our wait. I'd take a chance on $199 though. I mean, ideally, I'd like to pick it up and play it and make sure that it does what I want it to do. But it does look good.
I'm sure you're not the only one. But they've done whoever's done the marketing, they've done a great job. I mean, I find myself cringing at that video. I just can't bear all of that management sales rubbish that they talk, but it's obviously worked. I know, Gaz, you're a guitarist. You gonna get one? Looks pretty cool, actually, doesn't it? I like the idea. You can imagine, having that and an iPhone or an iPad or something, or your laptop, just being able to kind of, do stuff on it. Yeah. You look a bit of a prat on stage with it, though, wouldn't you? Unless you were a midget.
Well, I mean, I've played my ash-free bass on stage, so hey,
so you know what it feels like.
Yes. Interesting, definitely interesting. I've been looking because I'm using on the Carl Hyde job, or also on the opera I did. I've been using like MIDI bass guitar, with a GK3 pickup on my bass, and all the inherent issues that you've got with that, with the kind of latency, and certainly in the lower octaves. So anything that can kind of give you, extremely low latency.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder it's going to have to be wireless, isn't it? So it's going to be a bit of latency, and also, as people have been saying in the chat room, it looks a bit light to play. Atmosonic looks.
Yeah. It's a puzzling one. I'd like to have a go. I'd like to have a go at it first. I don't think I would commit to it. See, I did that with the Cuneo. I paid into the Kickstarter on that, and it was 10 months or something from the money leaving to actually receiving the product, or something like that. Maybe not quite that long, but
do you still use it?
I've got plans for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I do use it. It's just I've been trying to think of some sort of use for it, and I've come up with a good idea now, which is actually kind of making a virtual version of the Ableton push that I can use inside a Cubase. So that's kind of what I'm working on with that.
I thoroughly recommend trying the Ableton push, to be honest. I did the review of that, and it just beautiful thing.
It's lovely. But I have been using my machine a lot lately, and I was kind of realizing, because at first I thought when I saw the push, sorry, going off topic a little bit, but I thought the machine's days were numbered, and I've been using the machine a lot lately in ways that the push could not do. So, machine has loads and loads of good uses.
Yeah,
so.
I think there's going to be sort of very much a game of two camps, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, and in fact, to be honest, with the Cuneo and being able to do 64 notes in conjunction with the mind-blowing chord track that I keep banging on about in Cubase version 7, you can do things that leave the push for dead in terms of the kind of having these kind of pad-based scale stuff. It really is. You kind of think after you do a bit of stuff with that, when you get that working, you kind of think, oh, yeah, the push is great. It's an amazing thing. I can't really knock it, but just in terms of
it's that thing basically. It's like, how long do you want to spend setting it up? Or do you just want to switch it on and start doing stuff? And that's the thing that I find. I spent a whole day yesterday working on workflow just because I needed to figure out ways to switch things, with this for this view yesterday, and that's fine. That's invested. But if you're working on things that for the moment, it just, I can't be bothered with that. It just gets in the way. So, Jazzy Dan, actually, there's a bit of controversy in the chat room. He's saying he sent his back. Inconsistent white color pads. What else was that? Yeah. Apparently, it's quite difficult to get absolute white on LEDs consistent. Button lights barely visible in normal room conditions. Yeah, I found that a bit. Pad sensitivity variable when playing them. I didn't actually have that problem, but
I've just been in a store earlier today, and I was asking them about the push, and they've had just ridiculous amounts of orders in for them, and they just can't make them fast enough. But they said, but it's nowhere near like the demand for the Korg Volkers.
Yeah, well, that's going to be big.
They're not going to be shipping, they told me, until September.
Wow.
So I don't know.
They've got to make the minis first, because I've got one here for review. But again, you're still back ordering those everywhere.
Everyone's kind of going bonkers about the Volkers, but September is the earliest I've heard. So just.
Oh, I see. Right. Dave. It looks pretty neat, actually, this little guitar thing. I mean, you're not a guitarist, but could you be tempted just to sort of whip one out? Look, I can see there's a space for it just behind you.
There is no space. In fact, what I was going to do before we did this, I was going to put my chair down here and go, help me. I'm
drowning in synthesizers.
Yeah, I can't reach the top knob. Said the priest. I found this video very, very difficult to watch, I have to say, because there was that whole, I'm getting really bored of this kind of, I'm talking to the person over there and the camera's here and all the rest of it. I'm getting bored of all of that. And as you said, it was very, very salesy. But more to the point, if this was a British company, it would be two scruffy Herberts in a shed or something like that. But did they or did they not have incredibly luxurious headquarters and offices, and they were asking for people for money? So on that, to coin a phrase, I'm out.
I understand your point. Should they? Are the requirements they have to be sort of down and out with a great idea? Then is that the only way? Yeah,
yes,
okay.
With a small begging bowl, going, please give us money, and we can kind of feel superior and go, well, maybe tomorrow. No, I don't know anything about guitars and all the rest of it, but I did send it to John, who is a guitarist for all his sins, and he said he didn't get very far into the video either, because that first guy started going on about it took him months to get a D chord to sound like a D chord, and John said, well, if that's the case, then maybe another career. But also John pointed out that $300 for something with 5 frets, whereas his ukulele's hardly any bigger and it's got 19, he says. So there you go.
Yes, but it doesn't have MIDI out. Yes,
it reminded me of that little. There was a company, an Italian company, which I thought was incredibly appropriately named, called Charlie Labs, and they were all off their off their heads, obviously, with the stuff they were making. Do you remember it was kind of, and you could put it on your belt, and it was a little thing there, and it had 6 strings on it, but you would play the chord on your keyboard, and then you'd kind of strum this guitar-y thing that was on your belt. Oh, look it up, Charlie Lab's guitar.
Charlie Lab's guitar. I'd just like to point out, Matt M in the chat room said you can't play a G-sharp bar chord on the thing. 5 frets isn't enough. It needs 6.
Oh, well, that's it. Game over for me.
It's not very punk then, is it? You couldn't do your punk bar chords. You'd have to be... It's only a folk machine, isn't it?
Well, it might transpose. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, well, hopping around your transpositions when you're trying to play Anarchy in the UK is not going to go very well, is it?
Well,
yeah,
to be perfectly honest,
playing
Anarchy on the UK or something like that isn't going to get you a kind of audience of adoring kind of.
I can just about play Anarchy in the UK on my Yamaha one, but that's got 12 frets.
Right.
I have to do a slightly different bar chord for the highest chord in there.
Okay. Well, what they've got there is something that everybody goes, oh, that's cool. I'd like one of those, or you would like to try one, and they've obviously convinced enough people to generate $107,000. They've got 30 days left, so on the basic, because they had 40 or 50 yesterday, but on that basis, they could end up massively oversubscribed. I wonder what happens when you do that. That's an interesting.
The one thing I do find a little bit, I did one of these things for a Lomo scanner thing, like a negative scanner for my iPhone, and it was brilliant because the thing arrived just before Christmas. The box with the sort of scanning thing that you kind of attach to your iPhone, which in the pictures looked fantastic, but actually it's just like a lump of plastic in reality. That arrived before Christmas, and somebody said to me, "Oh, that looks awesome. How's it going?" And when I went to download the app wasn't ready, and in fact the app was only released like about a week ago. So everyone was laughing at me. So once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get the same thing. I mean, look, it's not, there are certain manufacturers amongst the current crop that announce things and see whether anyone's interested before they actually bother to make anything other than a mock-up. It's not, it is a way of working, I suppose. It's just a way of funding it in the first place. Maybe that's a great idea.
In theory, if they get oversubscribed, they can just make more of them, can't they? I mean, it's like you are getting a product at the end of it that's supposed to be $299, and you're getting it for $199 or $219 or $239 or whatever price point you've gone in at.
Or not
at all. I guess it means it gives them an opportunity to market it directly to their customer. They don't have to go through guitar shops with the first batch.
Yeah, it is a great idea. It is a great idea. It's just I wish that guy wasn't so salesy because it put me off a bit. But let's try it. So if you want to go, you go Indiegogo. It's an Indiegogo project. Jamstik with a K, not a CK. Yeah,
there's a software company called Jamsticks, and they're quite good.
Is
that? It's nothing to do with this. I thought it was the same people.
Jamsticks to a lot of things.
With an X.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were good, but I thought it was them, but it's not.
I'm not sure if that's them. All right. Anyway, one more time for another quick one. We can take questions on this one. Anybody seeing? Sorry, bag. Did you say?
Bag.
Did you just say bag? All right. Okay. This is luggage then. All right. This was a good one. I like. You know me. I love a bit of luggage, and here's some luggage. This is actually this luggage doesn't excite me particularly, but it just. The general thought of luggage excited me. These are organiser bags for musicians. They're a protection racket. 3 mini bags, which have just got nice little bits of netting and all sorts of pockets. And, they're just things of beauty. I think the mini bag range in stock now, small one is 19 quid, 20 quid, 25 quid. Liking bags. As I said in the topic, something about luggage, because every time I go to a trade show, I think, oh, look, there's a place that sells luggage. And I go there and I'm looking for something. I don't know what it is. But when I see it, I know that I'll have to have it. But I've never seen what it is. I've never found it yet. It's the piece of luggage that just fits something notional in my head that I'm not sure what it is. Do you think that's a kind of a common thing? Or is it just me? Or is it a bloke thing?
Well, you're taking a lot of gadgets and stuff with you when you do those kind of things, aren't you? And there's lots of leads and lots of little bits and bobs. So, so something like that is kind of very appealing. A bag that's specifically designed for gadgets and whatnot. So, but I'm a little bit of a luggage fetishist myself. You see,
I'm not talking man bag. No, not man bag.
I am talking man bag, and I got to show you this little beauty that I got in that I got in Berlin. Look at this lovely thing. This is...
That's a handbag, Gaz.
No, it's a man bag. It's a man bag. I feel quite manly with it.
Is it because it's got a shoulder strap that makes it a man bag? And it's leather, of course. If it's leather, then it can be a man bag.
But look, inside here, this you see, now this was cool because there's a little bit that my iPad goes into with its big rubber bumper that I take it around in. But also, it was also the thing that clinched the deal earlier today when I found that this fitted in.
You got an OP1. No, look at you. Look at you
with
your...
Oh, you got it.
I just got it. I just got it now. I just got it just before the show, so I haven't used it yet. But I took the bag. I took the bag with me, and that was the thing. If it fitted in the bag, then it was coming home with me.
Job's a good one.
Wow.
But yes, so you see, that was all a big scam then on my part, just to show off my OP1.
Oh yeah, retailers, watch out. When Gaz has got a decent gig, he's just going mad for it. Maybe he's going to order a Jamstik. What else is it? Here, I've got something. Do you want to buy this?
Fit within the bag.
I've got this special stuff that's just brilliant. Do you want to buy some? No, that's fantastic. I wish you. But yeah, there is something about luggage, isn't it? That I think what it is having something that fits what you need perfectly. It's the same thing as when you kind of see those videos where there's the sniper in Dirty Harry and he's on the roof. He's got a special case where it all fits perfectly and screws together.
Yeah.
And all it doesn't have to be, but all of that. Oh, Dave, what was that? Dave just held up a bag of his own.
So look, this is a bag that I've got here. This is quite a nice bag.
That's got a typewriter in it, hasn't it?
You check this out. Even better.
Oh, what's that? A bass.
This is a Hohner Bass 2, and it's like the equivalent. It's like a cheapy equivalent of the Rhodes piano bass.
It looks like it looks like a dustpan and brush in a sort of weird way.
And it's got a bag.
Wow, the bag. That's beautiful.
It was only seeing Gaz's bag that reminded me, and I think
Gaz, you've been outbagged.
I have.
I think.
No, I don't think so.
Outbagged there. Oh, Mark seems to be preparing. Oh, this is getting great.
I do drive my partner nuts with these kind of things. I think it's an on-tour thing. I think if you've toured at all, then bags become... They're sort of like a really important thing, and having a decent bag is a very important thing. But as I don't tour anymore, I was in the supermarket and I saw this little beauty at Halloween.
Excellent.
and that I took that into hospital with me, so I've got my little
a great thing
tiny iPad in there. I think it looks somewhat strange, probably, doesn't it? And my headphones as well, so I can, and then all my change. And all my strange tablets and earplugs and all sorts of things like that. I mean, isn't it that when you're in an airport, I mean, really, when you're in an airport, what else is there to buy apart from maybe silk boxer shorts or ties? And I've done my silk boxer short phase, and I don't wear ties, so...
I think I've got a theory, actually. Right, so basically... When you're touring or when you're doing stuff that means you have to get in and out of things quickly, having luggage which has lots of compartments and a place for everything means that very quickly you can open it, look, go, something's missing. Whereas if you take your average lady's handbag, which it's the phone's going. Oh, God, where's my phone? The phone's going. Carl, can you get it? Look, where's my phone? Can you find it for me? Where's the key? Whereas if you've got like a kind of proper man piece of luggage with a kind of little hook for the thing and a pocket for the phone or whatever it is the equivalent of, then it makes a lot of sense. You see, it's like the. Do you think it's the equivalent of the wall of tools where you've got everything painted out like with an outline, a special hooks, and you can put it all in there. And if you're running from the hotel or you're about to go to the gig or you've just got you can open it up, you can give it a quick once over, and you go, everything I need is there.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that tour managers always have those neat little Halliburton briefcases?
Yeah.
They always turn up with them, and you go, "Oh, that's nice. How much was that?" And they, £500 or something, aren't they? £500 or £600. They're very expensive. So it is partly status symbol as well, I think.
You think is that the thing about the Prada luggage and the whatever the other stuff is?
Absolutely.
I don't go for that sort of thing. I like luggage which has a bit. One thing I do go a bit on is Pelican cases. Big fan of those kind of things.
You and Andy Mack are terrible on those, aren't they?
But I haven't got a Pelican case. I've got a very small. I'm going to get it. Right, here's my. I'm going to do my luggage thing now.
Go on.
Yes.
I can't get rid of any luggage. I've still got. Do you remember those Bobblebee bags that look like they look like sledges, plastic sledges that you had on your back that protected your laptop? When I used to do a lot of travelling, I had that, and I've still got that, and I can't bring myself to get rid of it because that was an arm and a leg.
Okay, right.
Okay, go.
This is the case I take to Music Messer. And it looks like a Pelican. It's not actually a Pelican at all. It's a Maplin case, and it was 30 quid. That's why I bought it. The Pelican equivalent is probably about 200. And that's what I like. I can't, the thought of paying that sort of price. But things that wheel, you know, particularly when you're doing filming stuff, you need to kind of open stuff up, and, you know, you need to see it all there and know that it's there. That's why, you know, our roller bags that we take with us have the same thing. So when you open them up, you know, it's like, oh, right, okay, everything's there. Oh, I'm missing something. I must have left my headphones behind somewhere. And I have the same thing, but now I use a bum bag, which I hate that term, because I can just put everything in it, and that means I don't have to carry the bloody wheelie with me everywhere. So what I need is a kind of organizer version of a bum bag that doesn't make me look too much like, you know,
a utility man.
Yeah, someone who's actually thinks they're going on some sort of tropical expedition, but is actually just going to a trade show. You know, it's sort of, you know, I don't want to end up like with a camera thing with rolls of film and like netting and, you know, and
it's
a special
funny,
hat with a kind of
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, couldn't it?
Yeah, photographer's vest. No.
Yes. I like that. It's funny when Mark's saying about airports and stuff. That's the only time when I go into that. Is it Rohan shops?
You nearly bought one.
I nearly buy. That's the only time that I look at a suit and think, actually, yeah, that would probably be okay. Because it's just got a million pockets for like all sorts of stuff, hasn't it? Like
the only reason you buy it is because you're going somewhere where you won't know anybody and they won't see you.
And if I went to a trade show, they would know me and they just like point and laugh.
I do suffer terribly from pocket confusion, though, and the item I'm looking for is always in the last pocket, and after a mad panic through all the other pockets as well. So, I mean, I'm just not disciplined enough to know which pocket's which. So, but
I think I have pocket amnesia because I know what pocket it's in. I put my hand in the pocket, try and find it, and then I'm like, shit, I've lost it. And then I go around every single other pocket, patting on all the different pockets, and then I put my hand back in the pocket that I thought it was in the first place, and it's there. And I think, how did I not feel it the first time? But
this is when them little bigly gremlins are at play.
But I get into this huge panic, especially if it's a passport or a boarding pass or something. It's like, oh my god, they're all going to go without me, and, you know, I'm going to ruin everything.
Well, there is that. Yeah, it's always hard to know. You need a special. Yeah, but I went to the airport the other day, when we were going to Music Messer, and they were selling these things on the on one of the like, you know, the thing where you buy the little neck pillows or what have you. And they're selling these jackets, which are basically just like a wearable pocket, so you can carry on all this stuff. So you walk on like this, you know, wearing all this stuff. And have a carry-on bag as well. You sit there in your seat wearing all of this stuff in this sort of. It's got pockets in the arms and under the thing and in here, and you could just stuff it full. Look like an absolute idiot.
Of booze.
But avoid the only one piece of carry-on luggage. So maybe I need to have one of those in there, because sometimes they get us. You know, we take these bags and they weigh like 15, 20 kilos. They go, there's no way you're putting that in an overhead luggage. You go, there's no way it's going in the hold, because it's full of equipment that if it gets broken or lost, then the whole point of my trip is null and void. You know, so yeah.
That's all changed so much, because I used to get on the plane with about 3 or 4 pieces of carry-on luggage. One of them was a 4-unit rack with a K2000 in it. And then I think I had a PRS electric guitar, and then I had like a camera case with a DAT machine and all different things in it. And then I had my rucksack, which was full of all my crap. And I always used to manage to get on planes with 4 pieces of luggage and get away with that. And I used to have all these cock and bull stories about, oh, well, I'm just carrying it for him, it's his, or whatever, if they sort of pulled me on it. But
well, you probably flew on bigger planes, the ones that we fly onto. Yeah, that's what.
Well, this was just like 20 years ago, wasn't it? And they weren't so concerned about it.
Tribix in the chat room says, personally, I carry a small video music studio in the pockets of my cargo pants.
Wow.
Well, I suppose that could be a phone these days, couldn't it? Really?
Yes.
But yeah, you know. But yeah, no, I'm all up for miniaturization. But yeah, luggage, you can't beat it. But yes, if anyone knows of a good like belt type pack, because I broke mine, I've been using it for years and it just ripped, and so I need to get a replacement for the next round of shows. That's the only time I ever wear them.
Talk to Batman.
Talk to Batman. But I am Batman. Right.
Ah, indeed, yes.
There.
Sounds like a podcast title. I am Batman.
I could use that. Anyway, I did say we did do our show sponsorship, didn't we? Oh, that's good. Yes, that's great. And also, I wanted to say I'm doing a bit of a plug. We're doing next week on Monday at 4 p.m. We're going to do this Q&A session with the MS-20 Mini. So that's going to be set up with the modular at 4 o'clock. I'm going to trail it and what have you, so hopefully there'll be accesses to get to it. I put a Facebook event and what have you, so join us. And then once you've watched the review, which should be going live on Friday, it means that you can then come along and ask me to clarify or try and demonstrate something that I didn't cover in the review. And we're also going to have a chat from Corgon, who can answer questions that I'm unable to, or perhaps correct me if I'm wrong on any other points. I was actually wrong on the fact that it's got surface mount pots. It sort of has. They're on but I've never seen this before. They're on a circuit board, but they've got this kind of metal collar over them that goes right through the circuit board that holds the pot really tightly on it. So they are a bit wobbly, the pots, but it's not the actual knob. It's the shaft, as it were. So there you go. Yeah, okay, we'll gloss over that quickly. Anyway, we'll say thank you very much to everybody for joining us. It's been fun as ever. We'll start with Gaz, because he's still in glorious video Technicolor, full frame rate, not blocky at all. It's just a pleasure to have you aboard there, Matt, in such high resolution. Thanks, Gaz.
Yeah, I think the problem before, you see, because we had the engineers have been out for 2 days, that there was a very, very, very peculiar problem, and that's why it'd been bad for years, actually. So it's...
Someone been weeing outside your back door for years and years and years, and it's just rotted the cable or something like that.
Oh, that's what's happened, right?
It's a dog. What it was is a dog that passes in the same place every day for years and wheezes in the same place, and it's just eaten away. They corroded the fibre.
So I'm quite excited now, because I picked up the OP1, literally dashed back here. That's why I was slightly late logging on, and I haven't even.
Oh, so you've got some fun ahead of you.
Not even played it yet.
That's going to be fun. I think it'll hook up to the iPad as well. I think you can use the audio. Anyway, we'll leave you to discover that for yourself.
Okay.
Anyway, and also thank you very much to Mr. Dave Spears over there, GeForce Land, surrounded by modulars.
And...
what's
and my baby.
And the bass.
That's my piano bass, yeah.
Has that got tines in it then?
No,
It's an organ.
It's not
a divide down, is it?
Yeah. Oh, this is like from 1960. Actually, we're doing it. I'm going to be really previous here. We've sort of done this as an expansion pack for M-Tron Pro. A kind of apologies for being late with the 64-bit M-Tron Pro expansion pack, and we'll be putting that on our site for free. But there you go.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, folks.
Not just yet.
Yeah, Tuesday. Tuesday. I'm saying Tuesday. It's going to be Tuesday, right? No, I don't know when it's going to be.
Tuesday. Actually, he just told me that I can say that, so.
Great.
I can now pass the ball.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. And we'll also say thank you to Mr. Mark Tinley over there in Bedfordshire. I seem to be able to remember where everybody lives at the moment, so enjoy it while it lasts, because it probably won't last forever. So anyway, that's not it. It's that one. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Mark Tinley, and we'll hope to see you again soon.
You're very welcome. I've got a very small request of anybody who knows anything about music production or songwriting, and that is I'm in the middle of writing a song, but I'm sort of getting a little bit stuck on which direction I should go in next, least of all problem, or most of all problem perhaps, being that I can't really sing it. But I've put it on my SoundCloud page, so if I put a link in the show, in the chat room, would people go and listen to it and comment on it and tell me what it needs, because I'm sort of a bit in the can't see the wood for the trees kind of mode.
Are you ready to paste the link so I can show it in the video
I'll
stream?
do it now, yeah.
So, that's a bit of online collaboration.
Yes, please. I mean, it hasn't got any drums on it at all, or percussion or anything like that. So if anybody fancies throwing some drum ideas at me, it doesn't have any bass on it. If anyone wants to throw a bass idea at me or any of that sort of stuff, I'd be very interested to hear.
Okay, let's have it. Let's have it.
Right, there you go. It's in. I've clicked it into the thing. It's called Home.
Soundcloud.com/Mark Tinley, one word, new song, Home.
Yes.
There we go.
Thank you.
Great.
Excellent. Brilliant.
Thank you. And that's it for another week. That is the end of the show. I will press stop and things will cease. Goodbye.